All right, Mr. Brett Fairall, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super excited to connect.
Hey, buddy. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, we just hit it off from the gates. You know, you're a serial entrepreneur. You are a happy hustler through and through. You are a mission-driven marketer. I mean, I love that phrase. And you're just a good human. Like, I could tell that right from the gates. You know, you've connected me with a bunch of studs. And just, I love people like you who give first. You know, and you have a whole event called Give, 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 which we're going to talk about. You have a whole business called Morning Man Greens, which are awesome greens powders for champion men, which the branding on this is phenomenal. You got all sorts of cool stuff, man. And I really want to, you know, get into the marketing weeds on this podcast episode and really like help the happy hustlers share their message, because you have really cracked the code on it in many regards. But before we get into all that good stuff, Brett, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Man, this is going to be an oddball one, but when most people, guys in particular, were playing sports that, you know, girls liked, all that, I bowled. And so I actually went all the way through college and bowled in college and traveled the world. Didn't go pro, but I thought that would be one of the most outlandish things that I could think of that most people have no idea about. So yeah, there you go, my man. You're welcome.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm not terrible. Like, I can get over 100 consistently, but I'm not great, you know. But my dad is a big bowler, and actually, our neighbor in Montana, where I grew up, next to the ranch, he built a 2-lane bowling alley in his barn. Like legit. So yeah, yeah. So I bowled like growing up there, which is pretty cool. But that's awesome, man.
It's super nerdy. It was honestly, it was so much fun, but it was also something where I tried, and I think with a lot of things in life, trying to do everything as unique and different, and at the same time, I did rugby in college.
Oh, nice.
And I think, like I said, just in general, trying to do as many unique things and trying to go a little bit of a different route as possible. And both of those were quite unique experiences, to say the least.
Yeah, that's awesome. I played rugby in college too. Fun fact. My first match, I got punched in the dick and had a bloody nose within the first 5 minutes. And I was like, this is intense. This sport is no joke. You know, I played soccer, like, you know, that was like my sport. I still play. I thought I was going to play pro, but I broke my ankle in half and lost all my D1 offers. And then, so I played in college, and I played like a little semi-pro, but I couldn't ever stay healthy. It still gives me issues, but I played rugby, like in the off season, and man, is that a fun but brutal sport. So
who's your team then? So for like, as far as,
for soccer?
Montana area, like, cause I'm Sounders.
Oh, we don't have a team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't have a team. We don't have any professional sports teams in Montana. But like the closest like main team is like the Broncos, and the Seattle Sounders for soccer. So
we love that. My wife and I. It's so much
cool.
fun. I'm actually going for this whole event. I'm taking everybody out to pregame, basically like a whole suite. So it's going to be it's going to be a good show. But
oh, dang. Well, I want to get into it, but before we get into it, and let me just preface this with, like, I do not get into people's like childhood or backstory or any of that stuff too much. I want to keep it really focused on helping the happy hustlers grow and adding as much value as possible. But for someone like you, I'm very interested to hear how you got into the online marketing game. So give us a little bit of context.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. That's a good question. So always was a great writer. Started off creative writing, but I kind of did a dual kind of, I don't want to say major because I only got one, but I focused on both marketing and I also focused on law. And so I ended up going to law school and found that law was horrific and it was not where I wanted to be. The people were shitty and the curriculum was even worse. And I was like writing blogs, and I was doing weird marketing related things at the school when I should have been studying. And so dropped out, came home, have a wonderful family. It's because of them that I am here, and I am so grateful to them to this day. Basically grinded on the couch, just like basically couched. And then I figured out, okay, who is doing, at this point, I was looking at internet marketing as what is this thing? But one thing I did know at the time was that I could write in a way to help companies make, I don't want to say money, because that wasn't really like a monetary based thought process at the time. Like, as it would have been a more successful approach for me, but I just knew that I could get companies to leverage social media in ways that people weren't. Like, this was around 2008, and people, Facebook, business for Facebook or Facebook for business wasn't a thing really at the time. And especially from comparative to what it is today. And so I just knew that I could help companies write in a certain way to engage with consumers to get them in the front door. Conversions were kind of on them, but the more, and I was doing I was hustling design, when Facebook was the tall vertical profile picture, if you remember that, I was doing those for like $75 a pop. But really, it was just kind of like hustling to, build a network, take really good care of people in ways that, quite frankly, they don't expect of you. So that's kind of like my thing is always take better care of people than what they believe you to be or believe you to do. And so I found, though, that through that process, I got a whole lot better at what I was doing. And the more curious I was to find new things, try new things. And some of the internet marketing game where I was finding was I got into like Frank Kern, Brendan Burchard, and a lot of like the older guys, Dan Kennedy, and just being just absorbing everything that they were doing and trying to apply it. And that's kind of like the main thing is, learning is one thing, but then if you don't actually apply, good or bad, you're never really going to get further than where you are. And so I ended up, basically starting to build my network. And through that, I ended up getting more consulting roles, started taking over different marketing departments of a couple different supplement companies because I had a lot of great ideas, but because I did all the trainings and actually absorbed the programs, which, by the way, nobody does. It's so fascinating. Even to this day, most people just have shiny white object syndrome and they just want to buy something because it makes them feel good. But nobody actually goes it was 3% of the people that buy a big program or a course will actually go through it all the way to the end. But I was, weirdly enough, one of those people unknowingly at the time. And so I had all this really cool information to apply. So for anybody who is listening, if you get a course, you get your hands on something, or if you're just curious about it, go through it and try it out. Whether you're good at it or not, doesn't matter, because somebody else out there who may already be having some success could in fact be very interested to get your take on how that went and help you guide them who has already so much more resources anyway. So to come back to the point is, through many years of trial and error and building out what ended up being an agency to serve businesses. And we had a really good niche in quizzes and quiz funnels for a good time, and ended up leading into me creating my own companies, and voila, the rest is history.
Yeah, man. Oh, some gold to unpack there. The first thing that I just want to echo is actually doing the work, going through the course, reading the book, finishing the audiobook. 3% of people actually do. If you want to succeed, be that 3%. If you want to grow, you have to not just absorb the knowledge, but you have to apply it like Brett did. So I think that's a really great takeaway there. And, I can see a lot of your journey synergistic with my journey, truly. Like I was doing a lot of courses, always learning different, from different mentors, going to different conferences, going to traffic and conversion, or buying the Darren Hardy's, productivity course, or going through, like Tony Robbins, or I would always listen to Zig Ziglar's, audio tapes. Like they were always in we called it, automotive automotive university, where we just constantly like absorbing, but then you got to apply it, and I think that is the key here. Now, I do want to talk about like the actual online space as it sits right now, and really get a little bit granular, because a lot of the happy hustlers are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. They want to create businesses that really make a difference and that positively impact the lives of the people they're serving. And in order to do that, Brett, you got to actually get someone's attention. And in order to get someone's attention in this day and age, you need good copy, you need good marketing, right? So talk to us about how to capture attention right now in this modern era.
Yeah, man. I want to make a note, or kind of jump in on what we just talked about previously on consuming content as well, because it's going to drive the rest of not only this call, but the rest of this, any happy hustler's journey right now. You got to find the medium that's going to work best for you. So if you're not somebody that can sit down and read a book, I'm one of those people. Do audio and walk around your house, go walk someplace. If you like video, which for me was kind of the thing, I 100% feel that diving in and following along, just find your medium, because right out of the gates, if you're going to get stuck and you're going to get stopped and you're going to get frustrated and it's going to suck. And that's just really the law and love of entrepreneurship. Yeah. But one thing that I will say is that in the nature of this world right now, you have to stand out, per like exactly what you're saying. And my first recommendation before you even get started on anything, go get Seth Godin's Purple Cow, and then go get, I don't remember who the author is, but Who Moved My Cheese. These are very short books, very small books, but they're going to create some pretty good perspective for you, because in the law of, and really the belief of Seth Godin in this case is in the pasture of cows, the purple one stands out.
Yep.
And so if you are starting fresh, or you haven't started yet, the thing that you need to understand is there's going to be a fine balance between your passion and then your profession. I think most people want to create something that they love without actually thinking about, are there enough other me's out there to actually jump on what this passion is? If you are someone who, and I'm just going to throw this randomly out there, and no offense to anybody who is big on, say, comic books, but say if you are a very niched comic book connoisseur of sorts, and you only love this one type of comic book, and you're like, this is going to make a killing because I love them so much and I have this really great collection, I'm going to go build I'm going to go build an empire. And you're like dreaming massive, and you're seeing mansions, and you're seeing all these things. And then the next thing you know, you go get, you get a loan, or you invest your life savings into getting a storefront. You get a sign, you get the whole thing, you put everything out there, and then you advertise, and no one shows up. And not only does no one show up, but you also find that, okay, this isn't a viable business, and you lose it in the end. I think the main thing that you need to focus on is whatever you are currently wanting to do and are passionate about, think about every single day. If it aligns also with other people in your, whether it's your in-person community, whether it's online, you need to do a little bit of research to see if the demand is there as well. And so for me, once that is established, that there is a good enough audience, or that there's, in fact, for us in this brand Morning Man, we're like, okay, it started out of the fact that I hate coffee, not because it's something I do or don't believe in. It's just, I can't stand the taste. I try every year to try it, and my palate just says, go away, like it's black licorice. And so I hated spending not only a ton of money, but also ruining my gut with 5-hour energy shots and the Red Bulls, rock stars of the world. And again, these are necessary evils to burn the midnight oil. But for me, it was getting to be too much, and I was doing a ton of energy drinks, and I wasn't really supplementing well enough with vitamins. So my partner and I wanted just a simple solution where we can get all of our vitamins and really our vegetables for the day, even though that wasn't something that we had problems with nutrition wise, but we wanted it convenience. And then we also wanted to include the caffeine. And that's how this thing came to be. We didn't know at the time if it was going to be a home run or that it was going to take off like it did. But there's main elements, a part of this that makes a whole lot of sense that we were able to, in our research, see, okay, people hate, following and taking vitamins. People don't have a lot of time to do, a lot of a morning routine. There are a lot of people out there that want to kick a energy drink habit, but also caffeine is something that is widely in demand, no matter whether you're a coffee drinker or not. And so coming back to the main question of the nature of like this business and what the online world, or specifically in the marketing world, is in need of. It's in need of more brands that are willing to push the edge or push boundaries, but do and focus on a really great product. Most people want to focus a ton of their time on the marketing. Your product will naturally sell itself if it's good, but if you can make it a little bit different and stand out just a little bit more than the next person and be a little more memorable, you've got a home run right there.
Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah. Just in terms of kind of breaking it down, you have to get clarity first and foremost. Like, what is the problem your product or service is solving, right? And knowing who exactly you solve it for. Like, Morning Man Greens is not for everyone, although it can be consumed by everyone. It's not for everyone. It's very clear with your marketing, right? It says right at the top, undisputed energy for champion men, right? So it's like that right there is a little bit polarizing. If you read that, you know that it repels some people and attracts others. And I think that is really key when you're cutting through the noise in this marketplace. Like, you see all the dings and the notifications and all the likes and the comments, and like, there's so much noise out there. You have to have a stand. You have to like plant your flag, I think is really imperative. Right. And you just have to like, this is what, like, I know with the Happy Hustle, I solve the problem of imbalance. Like, that's it. Like, when people are struggling professionally or personally with balance, they come to me, I put them through the 10 alignment system, voila. And it's like, my events reflect that, my masterminds reflect that, my book reflects it, my course, podcast, we talk a lot about balance, but also, you want to achieve the 3 freedoms within, like the time freedom, the financial freedom, and the creative freedom. So that's like the Happy Hustle. I'm very clear on that. I plant the flag there, and I'm just, that's where I go all in. And you have to think about everyone out there. Where are you planting your flag? Or have you not planted your flag yet? And let this be the catalyst, right? Brett, I know
the other element to that too is that, like, even though that we take this stance and market towards men, and we have a very aggressive, we're on the spectrum on the farthest end of the aggressive marketing. And when people troll us online, on Facebook, on ads, we have a protocol to automatically troll back with memes. And it's just so fun. It's so unexpected, but that's our marketing. But one thing that I want to make sure that people know, we have a considerable percentage of our sales are women.
Oh, wow.
And so there are a lot of brands out there, even my buddies over at Dugout Mugs, like, I think they're even when they're a little plug for them, but it's a wood bat hollowed out into a mug, and it's like really cool. And good guys over there, but just like we're not at the percentage of female buyers that they are. I think they're over almost 60% of their buyers, even though it's a man or typically a male-centered type of a product. The thing that is quite fascinating that you'll find in whatever you're doing, and if you are planting that flag in saying this is for men, this is for women, or this is for this person, or whatever, as far as even for kids or wherever your company is taking you, it becomes very clear to the other person that this can be a great gift. And people are investing in it to help this other person in their lives or to support them. I think one of our customers that has invested the most is a female. So just fascinating how it can work like that.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Like if you do take a stand and you have a very, male driven marketing campaign that's for champion men, oftentimes that gets purchased by women who care about their men, and then it becomes a gift, a novelty almost. And I think that is really, it's important to just take a stand, point being, and it's to cut through the noise. And I think one of the best things that you can do to cut through the noise is have good copy. And I know you're a phenomenal writer, and I know copy is, one of your specialties. Talk to us about writing solid copy and specifically like catchy headlines that convert.
Yeah. So, where to start? So some of the things, some of the things over the years that I've learned is, your headlines will perform, differently under different channels. So again, wherever direction, or whatever level that you're at right now, I don't want to overwhelm you in this. I think the main thing that you need to focus on here is whatever your headline is, it has to be as benefit driven as possible. So I want you to start by thinking, you need to focus on warmth, not the heater. And so in this particular situation, most marketers or most business owners, they focus solely on what they're doing and what their thing is, and not what it does for the consumer and why that consumer wants whatever it is. So in the heater, look at this heater. It's got these buttons. It's got these knobs. People don't give a shit. They just want to know it's going to make them warm. Yeah. And so with the headlines, I think that when you're looking at it, you need to think of like, this is very dumbed down, but it's like insert item or insert some kind of promise in order to do blank. And so in this capacity, what I want you to think about is like, and then again, it's kind of another analogy, but you got to think about like most people when they're talking about working out or losing weight. Okay. A lot of times when people are failing, they're talking about like my 6-week protocol. It'll, help you cleanse and it'll do this, and this is like the most comprehensive, like most of the time people won't respond emotionally to that because you're just giving us features of your product. It's like the plane ride to Maui. All people want to do is think about Maui. And in this case, you just say the one unorthodox program that helps you lose weight, move notches over in your belt, and help you finally get up and down the stairs without knee pain, back pain, or heavy breathing.
Yeah. And so look great in that bikini in Maui.
But you have to think, but that's a different type of audience.
Yeah.
The people that want to go to Gold's Gym want to be marketed to by the Gold's Gym person.
Mm,
But if somebody just wants to lose 5 pounds and they're in their 60s, you don't want to talk to them about getting into a bikini because they'd close the page in a heartbeat. So the
true.
more that you know that, but yes, 100%, you want
Yeah.
to talk about the bikini. I mean, here's also for you. If I was to market directly to you about, hey man, like if this is a strength training program specifically for men who want to spend more time out in the woods and not have to come back to their camp, who has greater longevity, who can withstand the elements longer. You're like, what? Yes, I want to know. And it could be mindset, it could be physical, it could be emotional. But I think that the start of this whole thing with copy is knowing who your person is that you want to speak to most, because that page needs to not feel like a pamphlet. It needs to feel like a conversation.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. And it's, again, doubling down on the benefits, not the features. I see that time and time again. I've made that mistake in the past where I got, oh, my course has 10 modules and it's got 16 hours of training and you're going to love it. Instead of saying, yeah, instead of getting to the actual result. And that's what people buy solutions to problems. People buy results.
Yep.
Right. And so when you're out there creating your copy, you have to be results driven. You have to be focused on the benefits. You have to really break down, okay, who exactly is this person? Where are they at in their journey? Meet them where they're at. And then you can create copy that speaks to that end destination that they want and that they're desiring. Right.
Yeah, get this though. Here's the other thing that's super crazy that we found out. Kind of doing a little bit of market research testing with some of these audiences. For you, to your point about like benefits to features, you also need to have the features, but just don't make that as the main component, as the start.
Yeah.
Like you need to make sure to capture their emotional attention so they can go through it. But the thing that was blowing my mind kind of going through this with consumers is that people are going through your page finding or trying to find reasons not to buy. One thing that we found was that they're just scrolling through trying to find reasons not to invest because everybody loves to buy, right?
Yeah.
Think about it, like retail therapy, that's a thing. So if in fact, just the same thing, if you think about it from Amazon's perspective, what do? You search, you find the product, you search for maybe a different product, maybe you look at a different thing. And then what do? You go to the comments, you read a couple comments, you're like, whoa, that one scares me away. Or that one, whoa, I don't want to have to deal with this if this packaging is blah, 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 blah. And so then you go to find another one and then you're like, fine. And then you go and buy or you don't. It's the same thing with your pages. It's the same thing with your marketing. You have to be able to give them as much information that they need to make an educated decision on their buying, on their purchases. And most of the time people just want to know, one, is it going to get me my end result? Is it going to be something that I can afford or that I can comfortably, invest in, however priced that is, without being embarrassed if I get had on this? Like if in fact they don't deliver and I can't get my money back, am I going to have the embarrassment to go and tell my wife or my husband or spouse, whatever? So with the same concept for this and the same take for you, it's making sure that they have everything that they need in order to buy, while also not giving them anything that they like. It's removing any objections and making sure that you cover the full spectrum of things while also making it as benefit driven as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned like overcoming those objections in your copy. And that's something that I do like also on calls too. Like if I'm talking with a prospect, I think having your key 3 objections that you hear consistently baked into your presentation or your pitch or your copy is imperative, because you want to tackle it before it even becomes a question, because they're thinking it. There's typically like 3, or 3 categories. Time is usually a restraint, money, can be a restraint for some. And then their spouse. Like, those are three. So if you can tackle those in your marketing, which you do quite well, bringing it home to Morning Man's. I even noticed there's this little thing. If you guys are watching on the YouTube, you can go to Carrie Jack, the Happy Hustler YouTube, to watch the video. But he has a picture of like a woman, kind of like the sexy woman silhouette, and it says wife friendly. It's like it's great. It's like my fiance read that, and she was like, "That's awesome." That's in there, and it's little things that bust through those objections that you need in order to overall get the conversion. Whatever that means to you, even if it's just open the email. Even if it's just, get them on your Calendly booking page, or get them actually to purchase your product or service. You have to have the objection busters baked in, and then be prepared for the ones that might arise, because there will be some that you hear that you need to have loaded in the chamber and answer ready. And that way you can have a positive, reaction to it. And I think that's just something, kind of doubling down when you talk about objections. I always like to really bring to the forefront having those objection busters present. But yeah, really great points here. I mean, I love this rabbit hole, this marketing masterclass that Brett's putting on here, just to dive even.
FAQ. So one thing on that, just before we pivot off, one of the most effective ways to even look at these objections and if you have a big team or you don't, write down what those objections are into FAQs.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was, with Morning Man, we just came up with like all of the most unique, kind of probably, I guess, more standard FAQs, but then we just took weird spins on it. And again, for us, our conversion buster and everything, or our objection buster, I guess, if what we're saying this is humor. So like, if the second we make the guy laugh, he's in. And so that's kind of the thing for us. But like, if you have a series of objections, like whether it's price, whether it's whatever, just either, I don't know if it allows you to make it funny, but the second that you kind of take them out of their logic side of their brain, and even, compare it to funny things, like if your product or program is $50, just say, realize this is a program that's going to last you and change your life for the next 5 years. $50 is not even going to last you 5 weeks for coffee. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just break down, like I even did marketing in although you can be kind of cheeky with it, but like you can say, if it's, I know that I've done campaigns where this is 4 cups of coffee, and I just had 4 big pictures of coffee on the landing page. That's all it's worth. And that's what and so you could even say, it's 15,000 gummy bears. Like just do weird things on your page that people aren't expecting, but then put it in an FAQ, because then you can hand it off to your team. You can hand it off to any sales rep. You can hand it off to anybody who can then vet calls on your behalf. And all they do is that if that question's asked, they just go down the list and then they answer it based on what they've actually been, allotted in the protocol.
Yeah. Oh, I have FAQs on my page, even for the Montana Mastermind. I'll just break it down for that one, because, that trip, like to take guys in the wilderness and do a digital detox, it comes with a lot of questions. Like, there's a lot. And I went through it. I thought of all like the main ones, and people are like, what happens if I get hurt in the wilderness? And like, the first thing I say is, well, you're shit out of luck.
Yes. ...
That's what I said. I said, because there's no ambulance coming to save you because you can't get one in there. Just kidding. We have a medical professional on staff and you'll be all right. We'll get you out, blah, blah, blah. Right. It's like, you gotta have those FAQs, and infusing humor is a really great way to get people, out of that logical sense and more into the emotional sense. Because here's the truth. People buy with emotion, but they justify with logic. So emotionally, you have to appeal to them, but you have to logically make it make sense. And one way I like to do that is by doing the math, which, Brett has done in a comedic way, but truly you could say, hey, if my program is, let's say my program is $1,000, or you're a coach or a consultant, you're selling something $1,000. If my program and can help you get, and let's just say I'm a consultant and I'm helping a business get new customers, you determine how much a new customer is worth to them. Let's say one new customer is worth $500 to them. So stick with me on this, happy hustlers. But your consultant, you're the way you justify it with math, the way you get to their logical sense is you actually say, hey, if my consulting program can just help you get 2 new clients a month, it'll pay for itself. So boom, logically, they're like, oh, all I got to do is get 2 new clients a month. That's a no brainer. And then it pays for itself for life. It's really important. And this is all going back to the marketing copy, infusing it. You have to justify the logic, but appeal to them emotionally. What's your take on that, Brett?
100%, man. And I think the more creative you can get with it, you are, I don't really have much to add to that because it's exactly what you need to do. And so for me is try to relate it in ways. And I think the only thing that I'll add to this is that if you can speak their language on things that make the most sense to them, like, again, a trucker doesn't, like somebody who is long haul trucker, they don't say truck, they call it a rig. And so if you can use lingo throughout the process that also just references things that are important to them in their life and that are benefits to what they love, like you said, $1,000 consulting program that is $1,000 a month. If in fact a customer is worth that amount, $500 to them, 2 clients, 2 customers, 2 whatever, as long as whatever you're offering helps also get them clients, you have a no-brainer option right then and there. And if it doesn't, that's an option for an upsell, something to consider.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just speaking to like the art of the upsell is what I built my whole book funnel on. If people go to thehappyhustlebook.com, like, yes, the book itself is for free. You can get the physical copy for free. You do have to pay for shipping and handling, but the next piece that you'll get offered is the audiobook, which has, like, you'd be surprised, but it's got a 32% take rate, which is kind of shocking to me. Yeah. For a $19 order bump, and then it has the next piece, which is a $47 course that parlays with the Blissful Balancer, and that's normally $97, but you get it one time only and on this page. And that has, I think, like a 12% take rate, which, it's all these different upsells make the offer profitable. On the front end, it would be close to break even, but that's how you have to think in terms of marketing. You get people in with a lead magnet, something that draws their attention. And this is what really like top-notch marketers do time and time again. They get people in at it's even called a tripwire at times, where it's a low risk purchase, where you get someone in at a low risk, typically under $10. And then the next thing is, the upsell, something that can add value to that person in addition. Now you wouldn't sell a free plus shipping book and then, like a pair of shoes. Like, that really wouldn't make that much sense, unless you're branded your shoes, I guess.
Do you mind if I jump in on this? We actually,
yeah, please.
I was just doing my slides yesterday for my event, and this is one of the things that we're talking about with what we're calling order bumps and upsells, and it's an art form that helps mainly increase average order value. Now, follow me on this, guys. Basically, the point is that if your average order value, which is the total amount on average that your customer is going to be purchasing, if it's $100, then you know that you can go on Facebook, you can go on Google, you can go on YouTube, you can go on all these different channels and spend up to $100 to acquire customers. Or you can even, again, if you have a monthly type of a continuity program or a subscription, you can, play around with a lot of those numbers where people stick for 4 or 5 months, 10 months, whatever it is. you just need to be, as a marketer, let alone a business owner, but as a marketer, you just need to dial in your numbers because you can know how much you can spend at the very beginning to acquire that customer. Now, the one thing that I will say for upsells, order bumps, all that, these are enhancers. So to your point around you don't do a book to a shoe. Well, the thing that you need to focus on is I have kind of three main rules that I follow for upsells. And I didn't come up with this. This was taken from a good friend of mine, Ben Teal, who's a wizard with Dev, and shout out to him. But anyway, the main three components is that whatever you initially are selling, whatever that happens to be, let's say that you're, I don't know, give me an example. Why don't we go ahead and just have some fun with this, Carrie? Why don't we go ahead and give me an initial offer or product that somebody is selling?
Well, I like the book one because I'm gonna use your wisdom here in my own selfish pursuit.
Then let's do this. I love that. So the main thing about a book is that everybody can have a book. It's a book, right? You got to think about the topic. Think about what you're actually covering and what you're helping people specifically with. And let's just go very generalized entrepreneurship, okay?
Yep.
So the one thing about this is that one thing that you know about the person who's getting this book, whether they've heard you on the podcast or have come across your site or whatever that happens to be, whatever that initial item is, in this case, it's a book, every single thing after that has to help them further down their path, has to help them accomplish something more or something easier, something better. So the three main components is on your order bumps, on your upsells, and I'll explain the two here in just a second, and the difference between both of them is that, number one, your order bump or upsell has to help the initial purchase. You have to help make it easier to consume the benefit. So get the benefit easier, get the benefit faster. So essentially, if they want to become an entrepreneur, right? And they are in a position where they are struggling and there's a tremendous amount of effort. If you make it easier on them, that's the first component that we look at for order bumps. The second is faster. So if you have any kind of shortcuts. And then the last one is typically the largest of the three, and that's a done for you or a completely take it off their hands option. So if your order bump or upsell of any capacity fits into those three categories, then you have a winner. But it has to be linear and it has to enhance the initial purchase. So for you looking at a book, love the audio component of an order bump. Now, the order bump, the difference between those two guys is the order bump is pre-purchase. Typically, those are elements or items or essentially add-ons. You've seen them and you get them every single day. Your add-on on an order bump before somebody purchases can be something like, a cart checkbox, add this, right? You even see it on buying plane tickets, where they say, yes, I would like insurance. That's an order bump. That's an add-on that they're making money on you every single time. The checkout aisle, candy in the aisle as you're about to go in. That's an order bump. Not many people think about that, but these are little quick add-ons that don't have it's just basically emotional buys that are like add-ons that are usually, oh yeah, that would be great. I'd love to have that as well.
Yeah. Do you want fries with that? Right.
Exactly. And so these are add-ons that are pre-purchase. Now an upsell, this is more of an online, more of a direct response kind of a model that has grown in popularity. But essentially what it is that when somebody purchases whatever item it is, whether it's just the single or the order bump, whatever, they are then given offers that they can just click add to order, and you don't even need to check out again. It just adds it to their initial purchase. So in your situation, one of the things you have to look at is, as an entrepreneur, what are the biggest struggles? Like, what are some of the things that if you are starting fresh or you are, haven't even started, a roadmap. I think for me, and some of your programs, why it's such a great linear approach is that if you can help speak directly to, okay, we've got the book, this is going to get you started. Here's the audio. You've got the additional components to help get you on the go. So that way there's not as many limitations on go on your drive, hit your commute. You can listen on the go and you can get the results that you want and apply it later. It's really, I think, as far as your first upsell, it's a build your business, and it's a accelerator. I think the accelerator type of language to help them accelerate to results, especially if they're just starting out, is a really strong approach to quite frankly increasing your conversions that you have currently already. And I know that you've got really great programs, but I think that if the language adjusts or opens up to helping them, this is your step-by-step blueprint in order for you to accelerate the results that you know you deserve. And you don't have to have a set bar or a number, but if in the world of the yellow brick road, everybody's on their own brick and we're all going to Oz. So it's like you just at whatever part of the journey that they're at, if they trust you and they already, want to enjoy hearing from you, this is a great way for you to create programs that on its own for the first upsell is a DIY. But it gets them all the information that they need to really accelerate their results. The second upsell is going to be a service-based or something that has a little bit more support and component of probably a once or twice a month
membership
Zoom
community. Yep.
Membership community, live call, and a Q&A. Like I think that if you were able to commit, twice a month to a 1.5 hour call that is just straight open questions from you, but also giving them that community and support. I think there's also tiering up, numbers wise. I don't know if you want me to go down on like some of the price points that we've seen.
Sure.
Well, but I think that it's like a first upsell if you're coming off of a free plus shipping book, plus I would even say for the audio, it could be a 27 to 47. I would test those three out, 27 to 37 to 47 to see which one has a higher take rate. I think your numbers and percentage wise is strong on the front. I think your upsell should be at 35 to 40% on your first upsell. And so for that number, I would highly recommend that you doing this initial course, probably a rate at a 197 and or 147. And then if somebody wants to exit out of that, you usually want to offer them, hey, I totally get it. Maybe right now that type of financial commitment may not be the right choice for you right now. How about I discount it for $40 and or what would be $50, and then you bump it down to 97. So that way it still gives them the option if they are ready, and then you take away one or two things. So that way you have integrity within that. And then second upsell, 100%, 497, unless you're doing a monthly, which then I would encourage getting them right at 247 to 297. And so that way they have support and they can have somebody to jump on. And then your last upsell is going to be then your, what I believe would be smart, push to a call. And the push to a call is essentially the type of person that wants to go further down the rabbit hole and come to Montana with you. And so that last one would be, a little more time consuming. It would take up some of your team time, maybe some of your time to start so you can get all of those objections. But the reality of it is that this funnel is, it's intentional to, get people into your digital program as quickly and as efficiently as possible, because they're going to get results, and it's essentially a DIY. And then the second component is going to be then little more team time, little more support, little more FaceTime with you. You should be guarded as much as possible. You should be not able or accessed on a one-on-one unless it's a few $1,000s, just, in every sense of the word. And that way you are the person who in the end we should be, most difficult to get in front of in the context of healthcare. You're the doctor and all the steps leading up to it, from receptionist to triage nurse. They have to work their way through, and you're the one that is really the person that is of highest esteem in this funnel.
Some gold right there, you happy hustlers. I hope you go back and listen to that again, because this has been a marketing masterclass indeed. And, if it's a little bit over your head, it's okay, because you're raising your level here by even sticking with it. The biggest thing here, I just want to kind of go back. If you are going to infuse upsells and one-time offers into your product or service, make it easier, faster, and done for you, those 3 different topics. And then realize, that everyone is on their own brick on the yellow brick road, but we're all headed to Oz. I like that analogy. So you have to meet people where they're at, and you want to help accelerate their path with multiple different options and tiers. So that's gold right there.
Make this super clear, though. Do not pause and do not wait to release, launch, go live, because now there's upsells that you just found out about, or that there's upsells you've been wanting to make. Go out and test it, and win and fail, change, whatever. Just get something together, whether it's a book. Like, I think the biggest failure of entrepreneurship is delays.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be a reason not to do something. And I think that getting it live, just even if you're not going to I think this is such a huge thing, is that too many people that I've run across and worked with, whatever, mentored, it's like they want to delay and stop, and they don't want to go and because for shame, embarrassment, they're too afraid that it's going to go and going to get, your video is going to get 16 views. The podcast is just, nobody's going to listen to it or care. Nobody's going to comment on the blog. But the thing about it is that if you love it, and if it's a passion of yours, do it because you can, and because you should, and because no matter what, the stuff sometimes takes time. And when you have programs, any delay that you have is potentially one more person that's not going to see your program.
Yeah, or your product. That's I think really important. Like, this goes for delaying your product launch, or really anything. Delaying your shift over to full-time entrepreneurship, right? If you're corporate, don't delay, don't settle. That's the biggest thing, And Brett, this has been awesome, man. I do want to reference, where people can go to learn more about you, and specifically learn from you at your upcoming event. I know you have a really cool event. It's got a very big philanthropic component, which I love. One of the 10 alignments is selfless service, and we're very aligned on, the secret to living is giving, as Tony Robbins talks about. And you mentioned something even in the pre-chat, like how much more increased success you have had by just giving more, and I know you have an event called Give, which is coming up very soon in Seattle. Talk to us about that event, and if people did want to attend, how they can.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. And so for the last 7 years or so, I've been very, very fortunate to, like I told you, run an agency, create my own companies, but throughout it, just meeting some of the most wonderful people like yourself. And I just wanted back then a way for all of us to get together and chop up each other's companies, learn from each other's mistakes, have a ball doing it, and travel the world. And so I've been hosting entrepreneurs around the world. And this year, for the first time, I've been able to shift, and I'm doing a workshop called Give. And like you mentioned, it's give.com. But this workshop is focused on helping entrepreneurs grow and scale their companies, acquire customers easier, and help continue to monetize and basically grow in relationship and mission with them. But at the same time, including a really amazing charity and a cause with this event. So it's a 2-day workshop. 1 day we focus on business. with some of the best speakers, trainers, and really friends and vendors of mine that I use every day to grow my companies and work on my work. And then day 2, we do an activity and we have a charity auction. And the charity that we're supporting is called the Sakila Sponsorship Foundation, where the director started a small school out of Tanzania about 10 years ago out of a chicken coop, and now has grown it to about 1,000 students and staff, and just wonderful story. Wow. Most recently, there's been some very unique government mandates that have basically put restraints on their curriculum. And so with this event in Seattle, we are fundraising for the curriculum, basically to help support them and get them the funding that they need to keep the lights on for next year. And we're just blessed because, at each event, we have so many people joining us, but also donating, and we have over $40,000 in donations for this event alone. But yeah, man, it's just, for me, getting the opportunity to serve, support, not just fellow entrepreneur and helping out, but whether that's through just introductions, connections, or being able to create, really cool events that fundraise for a good cause, man. I just love that and eat it up all day.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I hope you happy hustlers take action on this. This is going to be a power-packed event. He's got a ton of awesome speakers. Brett's going to be there. I would be there. I would tell you, I have a GMC commercial that I'm shooting as talent. And then I have my event, the Montana Mastermind, sandwiched right what his is. So unfortunately, I'm going to the next one, but you guys should definitely take him up on this offer. It's in Seattle. It's got a whole packed itinerary with, the philanthropic component, but you'll also learn a ton. They can go to give.com. Is that right? To sign up for that?
For anybody that wants to take a look and invest, and that's something that you want to be a part of, we'll give you a $500 off for Hustle. So Happy Hustle, and it will be Hustle 500 for anybody here. So you just go
nice, man.
And we'll go ahead and put that into the chat.
Oh, man.
But that'll be live and available for anybody that wants that. So if that can serve and support you and you want to come out, we actually renting out T-Mobile Park, Mariner Stadium for the event. We're actually doing the auction in center field.
Cool.
And so it's going to be pretty amazing. And it's great footage too. If you guys have a big brand or that you're looking to get good footage for your brand, it's a great opportunity as well.
Yeah, very cool. Guys, take them up on that. Hustle 500, save yourself some bucks, support a good cause, and learn and grow your business in the process. So give.com. Now, Brett, I do want to put you through some of the more traditional Happy Hustle questions, then the rapid fire round, then we'll wrap this interview up. First, let's talk about health. I think it's really important to just have your health when you're happy hustling. And, I know you made that switch to really optimize your health with Morning Man greens, which, by the way, you guys can go to morningman.com to get yourself some of this delicious greens powder. But what is a happy hustle hack in regards to health? Maybe something you do that is a little unique that you could share with the happy hustlers.
Yeah. So for me, I'm an early morning guy. So I like a couple things. One is I've done a whoop strap for a long time, but now I do Oura Ring. It was only because I didn't like it on my wrist. I mean, there was nothing necessarily I didn't like about Whoop per se, aside from just, it being uncomfortable on my wrist or whatever. But I'm a big data guy. So data from marketing, data in my own health. And so I would highly recommend using the Oura Ring. Minimum, it's a gallon of water a day. And it's trying to get, I have a 1.5-year-old and another one on the way. So I'd love to say, hey, get 8 to sleep. It's, but the reality is that as far as an entrepreneur goes, and as far as, saying parents out there, because it's easy to be like, yeah, I'm in my 20s and I'm single, and and I just sleep 9-10 hours a day. Well, I'm not any of those things, and I'm not getting 8 hours. And but I think that as we do get older, I think the more effective we are with monitoring ourselves, monitoring our data, and you'll get a wide variety of information that can be used, but also like, I got COVID not too long ago, and like my numbers were crazy through the roof in ways that I didn't even expect. But I think that, fascinatingly enough, it's super important just to, one, listen to your body, but actually listen to the data that it's even showing.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. And I was deep down the biohacking game for a while. I was like running a biohacking company for about 3 years prior to the Happy Hustle. And one thing to your point though, like data is really important, but I do want to say this one thing. We had clients that would look at their like Aura Ring score or their Whoop strap or like some of their data, and they'd be like, oh, I didn't sleep good. I got like a 68. I'm going to have a shit day. And it would like subconsciously screw them. And so sometimes you have to actually like, yes, use the data, but don't be restricted or like allow yourself to let the data dictate your reality truly. So just a little caveat, but I hear you on that.
It's funny. I mean, yeah, like there's the element of the mental placebo almost to that degree. And I'm with you on that. And we'll have to have another conversation another time. But I grew up and I was over 400 pounds as a kid, obese pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Entire adolescence. And then when I went to college, I ended up losing about 170 pounds. And
good for you.
The main thing was like, as far as health goes, is for me, it's go with what your body is
yep,
frankly needing most. And I immediately before thinking the Aura and on the Whoop, I was like, I'm a morning person. I don't need to eat in the morning, and I fast until noon 1. And so for other people, they have to, like my wife, she has to eat right when she first wakes up. And so I think that finding a good balance of what is going to be best for you is super important.
Yep. Amen to that. Let's talk about money. I like to always talk about it. I think it's very important. Like you need it to be a happy hustler. It's an energy. It's a frequency. It makes you more who you are, right? What would you say is a happy hustle hack in regards to money? Maybe something you do that maybe, helps you save or invest or spend wisely that you could share with the happy hustlers.
For me, I learned this not too long ago, but so much of my time is for me like the biggest financial commodity, because I can't buy more of it, and I want to spend as much time of it as I can with my family while also having a good important work-life balance. But the thing that I will say is I try to invest as much of my time in things that continues to generate revenue without needing me there. So what can I do? Like your podcast, you do these interviews and you post it and it continues to generate exposure. You have a team, maybe somebody who in fact can help support you on calls, on closing, on sales, or you yourself are, looking to build a business. Well, for me, I try to create an SOP. So like I document everything that I do. And that's been, I think, kind of the financial side of this is any item or anything that I can do that I can replicate. I create a very clear procedure around it and then bring in somebody that I can then focus on something else. And so financially for me, it makes as much sense to not have to be the person responsible for the items itself and more about the individual that can bring you that much further down the road without you needing to be there. Because as you know, anything can happen in life. And pausing your business isn't necessarily an option when you have a mortgage to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the SOP component. I'm personally not a fan of doing them, but I'm a fan of delegating them to my team to do because, like if you're a visionary entrepreneur, oftentimes you're not really good in the weeds system. Right. I mean, there is the people who can do it all, but, you do need those SOPs, especially when you go to grow and scale. So really great point there. Let's talk about spirituality. Go ahead.
Don't even call it SOPs, because I think that also, just like what we talked about with like, you look at the aura or the whoop and you see the number and you're screwed. I think automatically it's like saying homework. Nobody wants to do it. But if you can just do a Loom, or you do a screen share video and you can just record what you're doing because you have to do it anyway, there's your SOP right there.
Yep. That's what I do. That's awesome.
That's my man.
Yep. All right, man. I want to talk about spirituality. This is like, something in regards to faith that I believe in a higher power. I believe in God. I think it's really important to have faith in something bigger than yourself. Not necessarily one religion or another. I don't care what you believe in. I think it's important to have some type of faith. What do you do in this realm? Is there some, thing maybe that you can extract from your practice, a meditation practice or breath work or gratitude, prayer, anything in the realm that you could share with the Happy Hustlers in regards to spirituality?
Personally, I'm a Christian, didn't grow up in the church, so it was definitely a later in life discovery for me. But I have found some of my best community, although I don't have a ton of community in the entrepreneurial sense within my church family. But for me, so much of my anxiety is gone when I put it in God's hands. And so I think that when I find myself just incredibly overwhelmed, stuck, or just in a rut, or things aren't going right, I just remind myself that, and then I know that this is kind of an adage that probably a lot of people will refer to, but it's just like, God won't give you more than you can handle. And for me, I constantly just say, bring it on. And I just try to put as much more on my plate as I can, which isn't always the most healthy thing. But I think that especially for people who are just starting out and are, trying to make the transition from the 9 to 5 into this entrepreneurial world, is that for me, it's just having faith that things are going to work out, and that with the right amount of, whether you meditate or you pray or whatever it is, that's your thing. I feel that prayer guides you through, but also I caveat that with, I don't want to say a big fan of The Secret. Like, I loved what it did for our community as far as, are you familiar with obviously The Secret, Thoughts Become Things? Thoughts Become Things, I think it's a great marketing hook, as long as you do those things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can sit on my couch and I can eat Cheetos, and I could want to lose weight, and I could also want to build a business, but if all I do is sit and watch Netflix, that's not going to be getting me things other than just a whole lot of nothing. So I think, again, to the spiritual side of it is that as long as prayer leads you to motivation, and prayer leads you to action, and meditation leads you to strength and perseverance, then that's what I believe in.
Love it, man. Yeah. Those are some great points. Just believe in something bigger than yourself, but then take action, y'all. Now, Brett, I just want to acknowledge you, brother, for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, and just for being unapologetically you and giving so much to me, to the community, to the Happy Hustlers, to your clients, to the world. Really enjoyed our connection and love where it's headed, and just the synergistic, mutually beneficial, nature of it. And I just think the world is so much sweeter when there's people who show up like authentic like you and really care about helping others. So I just want to acknowledge you for that, man, and appreciate you.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. And I hope this was helpful. Hope this guided a couple ways. But again, I think my big takeaway, especially after everything, is like, just go and fail forward. That's my biggest thing. And the thing that you're going to learn, you can't go wrong with trying. You can just learn. That's it.
Oh, love it. Now, I do want to put you through the rapid fire round real quick, then ask you the last question. We will wrap this up. First, it's just basically first thing that comes to mind. Like, this is the rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Favorite food? Go.
Pizza.
Favorite movie?
Oh, Mad Max.
Favorite book?
Purple Cow.
Best business advice?
Keep trying, keep pushing, let your data do the work.
What's your spirit animal?
Oh, man. I would say Tiger King, just as a joke, but oh, man, we'll go with Tiger.
Marketing hack for the ages?
Start with your community. Start with the people. That's it. Start with the people. Love them more than they expect you to love them, and serve them more than they expect them to serve you. That they expect to be served.
Oh, that's good. 3 things you're most grateful for?
My family, my wife, and my freedom.
Yeah, that's great. And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content ever created, what's that billboard read, Brett?
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I know this is rapid fire. The thing is, it doesn't, whatever it was, it would just be to make them laugh. Whatever it was, just to put a smile on their face. Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. I love it. So probably a dick joke or something like that, right? Just no, I'm kidding. Awesome, man. You crushed that rapid fire round, Brett. One more time, give people the best links to, find out more about you, maybe pick up some Morning Man, and mention where they can go to sign up for the event as well.
Yep. For the event, it's going to be givegivegive.com. We're hosting in Seattle here in August 15th and 16th. And then if you're catching this after that, then we're going to be over in Scottsdale, March 6th. But we just host entrepreneurs, do good things. Next year, we're going to be doing our event for veterans struggling with PTSD and veteran suicide. And then we're also going to be doing a homeless shelter-based drive for jackets and sleeping bags. So trying to bring the entrepreneurial community to good causes and making some real impact with the love of giving. Love
that. Check them out, guys. Givegivegive.com. Hustle 500, save you some moolah. Check out the morningman.com. This has been awesome, Brett. I really appreciate you, man. Now, final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
Gosh, it's everything, man, because you can't have one without the other, or you shouldn't anyway. But I definitely think that, man, there's no better thing in this world than making your own while loving it every single second of the day.
Ooh, mic drop. Brett Fairall, y'all. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everyone. Woo!